This is a question that I actually issue to all of these OG, big, accepted organizations that are very cult like in the US, but we seem to have given them all a pass. If not cult, why cult shaped? You can't actually see it on the question, but she says that at the end, and she's talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. And I say this to AA, I say this to the American military, I say this to Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh Day Adventists, many forms of Catholics, most evangelicals, Mormons, and I'm sure there are a few others. If you're not a cult, why are survivors of your organization coming to me, a cult scholar with cult shaped trauma? Why? In the 70s, after Jonestown and Manson, with the specter of those in the background, the word cult became firmly pejorative and hasn't really been used in a non pejorative sense since then. And we needed that. However, I kind of feel like we just gave a pass to all these groups that had been established before we renamed cults as OG. And now it's been a long process. The agreed that Mormons are a cult. The experts are agreed that Jehovah's Witnesses are cults. Everyone is not still agreed on Seventh Day Adventists, but I know that it's a cult. And almost all cult experts warn about Alcoholics Anonymous. Interestingly enough, if you are going to hang your shingle as a cult expert, you cannot define cult. Any definition of cult that you choose, here's mine, but you can go define your own, without being immediately asked, what about AA and what about the military? And I think maybe I'm the first expert out there with the ovaries to say, yeah, they're both cults, harmful cults. And I'm not gonna like fondle your man pearls for you while you absorb that. They're just cults. The conversation we don't want to have about the military is that we just ask 1% of our population to be in a cult that will destroy them and their families in order to protect us. And we just throw them away afterward. And we don't want to have that conversation. Same for AA. You know what no addicts need? Not a single one. Shame, manipulation, group critique, and a junk science program built out of the 1930s by a narcissistic man who lied about how he got sober in the first place. So, yeah, people will tell me all the time that my stuff is going to warn people away from Alcoholics Anonymous or the Army. Good. They like to call themselves a disease, which is not true, which is the lobby and Marty Mann, their skinny white woman, got done. But you want to call yourself a disease? Fine. The Surgeon General requires that every risk of every medical treatment is described to the people. So if finding out the risks of your awful, awful, awful program keeps them away, good. I'm Daniella, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. I wrote a book called Uncultured about growing up in the Children of God religious cult and then going into the cult of the US Army. You can get signed copies attached here, or if you're on TikTok, in the shops of one of these other accounts. You can also listen to it on Spotify Premium right now.